Old Berthy was the one that told Jip. "A lunatic boy," she said, leaning so close Jip could count the hairs in her nostrils. "A raving lunatic," she sniffed. "We're all of us poor, and there be some," she rolled her eyes toward old George and Sheldon Morse, "who is simple. But we're harmless, ain't we, boy? What do they mean, bringing a lunatic amongst poor God-fearing folk who done no harm nor had no luck in this cruel world?" Jip nodded solemnly. He never argued with Berthy. Once he dared question her when she said Ethan Allen had been a fool. After all, Ethan Allen and his Green Mountain Boys were the only genuine Vermont heroes Jip had ever heard tell of. "Ethan Allen was a hero," he'd said. She slapped him across the cheek so hard it stung. He wouldn't have credited that old wrinkled hand with such strength. "I said fool, boy. Don't go contradicting your elders." He didn't again. Besides, why were they bringing a lunatic to the poor farm? "Money," Berthy said. "It'd cost the town too dear to send him to the asylum." The overseer of the poor had appeared several days earlier. Mr. Flint was an imposing man, tall enough to look down his nose at most of the population, with deep, buckshot eyes and sunken cheeks like a skeleton. You could tell from his frock coat and stovepipe hat what an important man he was in these parts. Indeed, he was the wealthiest and most important man that any of the residents knew of. It was he that had put each of them here on the town poor farm and demanded their gratitude on every possible occasion. Overseer Flint drove his gig down the rutted road that morning in early April, cursing and whipping his mare, urging her through the spring mud. The residents, gathered respectfully in the yard to welcome his arrival, could hear the unchristian language from where they stood, huddled against one another for warmth. They reckoned the overseer above the law, even the biblical injunctions about the Lord's name, that tempered the speech of more ordinary mortals. Despite the overseer's powerful tongue, the gig's left back wheel stuck, held fast in the greedy clay. "Jip, Sheldon, go help Mr. Flint," Otis Lyman, the farm's manager, yelled. Jip sprang forward, grabbing Sheldon's big rough hand. Sheldon looked at him puzzled. "We gotta get the overseer's wheel loose, Sheldon. You and me together, eh?" "All right, Jip." Sheldon was always obliging. He just didn't catch on too fast. The overseer stopped his red-faced cursing when the two of them got close. "Good day to you, Mr. Flint, sir. I expect you better get down, sir," Jip said. The overseer peered skeptically at them, the skinny boy and the husky young simpleton. The mare, straining at the reins, was sweating, her eyes wild from pulling. Couldn't the man see his own weight was making the wheel sink deeper and deeper? "If'n you'd like down," the boy began. The man didn't wait for him to finish. His mouth pursed. He climbed down gingerly to the less muddy side, then threw his reins back toward Jip. Jip gathered them in one hand and watched as the tall man tiptoed around the muddiest ruts, picking a cautious way up the road to the crowd watching from the farmhouse yard. "Wait, Sheldon," Jip said quietly when the man seemed out of earshot. "We gotta make friends with this poor critter first. Mr. Flint has aggravated her something fearful with all his whipping and cursing." He moved to the mare's head and began to speak soothingly to the beast. The horse tossed her head once, but when the boy reached a chapped hand to her neck, she let him stroke it, barely stamping her muddy feet. "Now, Sheldon," Jip said, his voice hardly louder than a spring breeze on a maple branch, "just put your shoulder on that wheel, and when I say gee, you shove. All right?" Sheldon grinned, nodding his prematurely balding head. "I'm strong," he said proudly. "That's right, Sheldon. You ain't got extra sense, but you're lots stronger than most anyone. I can't do without you. All I can do is talk sweet to this here horse. You're the one what's got to save the gig for the overseer." "He'll say, 'Thank you, Sheldon. You're a good boy.'" "He might, Sheldon. He just might. Anyhow, we gotta do it, thanks or no."